Casey. I don't have a deck, and I was going to show you my fundraising material, which is also not a deck. But we have a few options here. So I can tell you a bit about myself first. I can tell you about Chomp first. I can tell you about the larger vision. We can do a play along together. Which one do you want to go first? Oh, too many options. Too many options. Okay. So how many of you guys have a Phantom wallet on your phone? Yeah? Okay. For those of you who have a Phantom wallet, just follow along. For those of you who don't, I will just be demonstrating on my laptop here. So on your Phantom wallet in the browser, you can actually just search for Chomp. So CHOMP, this little logo will pop up that looks like a little alligator. And then you can start playing if you connect your wallet. And then I can also do a demo here. So the UI is actually a lot better if you're using your phone to play it. So here I've already connected my wallet. So we can do a deck together. You guys, it's audience's choice. So do we want to play Add or Offense, US History Quick Quiz, Breaking Bad, is it still cooking, Racial Radar, on or off, the Bus Dilemma. Okay, we're going to do the Bus Dilemma. US History, too late, sorry. All right, so here you see that we have, if we go into this deck, we have potentially the possibility of earning up to 30,000 bonk. If you don't know, bonk is the premier meme coin or culture coin, as they would like to call it, on Solana. And you can potentially get some credit back. And I don't have a lot of credits on my laptop, so I'm going to purchase some credits right now. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong wallet. Well, I thought we were doing a playthrough first. I'm going to show them how it works, actually. 1 second. 1 sec, I'm going to switch my wallet. Okay, back to the bus dilemma. All right. Who would you give your seat to first, a pregnant woman or an old man? Pregnant woman. And do you think people will choose the same as you or different from you? What do you think is the percentage of people that would choose pregnant woman first? Yeah. No. You could ask her if she's pregnant and she will be very offended, and you know. Okay. Who deserves this seat the most, a handicapped girl or an elderly man?
How handicapped?
How old? Okay, handicapped girl.
You don't get that info.
Yeah, you just get what's here. So handicapped girl, you think 95% just like last time?
I would say lower. Let's go
80%. 80%. Okay. What is your first instinct on a crowded bus? Do you give up your seat or do you keep your seat?
I'd say keep.
There's a clear contradiction between like the previous answers and this answer.
Yeah, get from who? Is it like my first date stay seated?
Okay, and do you think everyone would? Yeah.
If there was contested.
Yeah. So as you can see, there's like always a lot of divided opinions, right? For a lot of questions here, there's no right. Well, there is definitely no right or wrong. So I would just choose randomly. I will probably stand up, but I think most people would disagree with me. So most people would choose keep my seat, I think.
There's also whatever it's worth, this factor like it's logging all day for like 12 hours and I'm traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Europe somewhere.
Yeah.
Traveling around.
So you can already see, oh, what's happening to my, yeah, I think, sorry, I ran out of time. There is a 60-second timer for every single question, but that is the gist of the product I'm building, but I think it might be easier if I showed you a teaser. as opposed to, so do you want to come up here with me, Bib? Andrew is the silent co-founder of this company. He's
It's like a prediction market.
It's a little bit. So that's what you saw, but you're betting on what you think, and also what you think other people think. This is the part where we didn't get to, where you actually have a mystery box and it opens, and then you get to see how much you earn. And the closer you are with your prediction, the more you get to 2x. But in our new set of algorithms, we'll actually get up to 50x for some of the winning proceeds. So you can play on any of your phones. Okay, so how does this thing work? Here's a different textbook question. Is Margot Robbie mid or hot? Man, different question. Here, maybe a more objective question. What is the capital of Illinois? Is it Springfield or Chicago? You all have your answer. It's Springfield. Do you think most people, if we're polling, like everyone is on Web3 today or on Solana today, which is what we're building on, do you think they will most likely choose Springfield or Chicago? Okay, so that's pretty much the input that we take into this algorithm. So in this case, more people would choose, some people would choose Springfield, but the people who choose Springfield are more likely to think everyone else would choose Chicago. And those who choose Chicago are also likely to think more people would choose Chicago because that's the only city that they know that is the capital of Illinois. So what we are seeing is the expected outcome, which is Chicago or Springfield, is more likely to be Chicago, but it's going to be a higher percentage of people who choose the crowd, who expects the crowd to choose Chicago, then the crowd will actually choose Chicago because a part of that crowd is choosing Springfield. So then you have a higher second order outcome, which is like what you think the world thinks, compared to your first order outcome, which is what you think. And when the second order is higher than the first order, according to our algorithm, the answer is what we call surprisingly popular, which is actually the opposite of that higher outcome, which makes the outcome Springfield. So that's kind of the logic of how this, how the base algorithm works. Surprisingly popular was a mechanism that was first published on Nature in 2017. It was by two people who was like pursuing their PhD at MIT. One of them is actually teaching at Wharton, at Penn right now, and then the other one is still at MIT. And pretty much they invented this algorithm to surface minority expert opinions. Because like imagine we're talking about like Rust coding, and then everyone believes something to be right in Rust coding, but then totally say something different. Totally, who's the co-founder of Solana. So if this was a majority vote, Tolly's expertise will get drowned out. And then his like expertise, his expert opinion will not get surfaced in a majority vote. So the way we kind of like channel what people think and what they think the crowd thinks is by using an algorithm like this to turn out the minority expert belief. This doesn't only work with with experts. This also works with like a traditional prediction market actually. So Theo, who won, I think, over $70 million on Polymarket last year for predicting Trump's election outcome, what he did is he went to his neighborhood and then he asked his neighbor what they think the rest of the neighborhood will vote for. So it's like a very like simple way of polling the second order belief of the crowd just in his neighborhood. And through that, he was able to predict the winning and losing of like swing states, and then also who was going to win the election. We did that as well. So back in June, we were able to get a really strong signal on Trump being the president. And then we also predicted earlier than Polymarket the first time Bitcoin hit 100K this year. But there's also a much simpler way for you to apply something like that. For example, in these fun questions, right? So you can use this to poll what, do people really have more sympathy for elderly men or handicapped girl or pregnant women, right? So like from that, if I'm someone in public service, I can use this to like channel my like graphics or like policies for like public transportation. If I am someone who, if I'm working for Hyperliquid, for example, this is an example that one of our investors actually polled like in his firm. So he asked, do you use Hyperliquid? And do you think other people are using Hyperliquid? So the result is everyone thinks other people are using Hyperliquid, but none of them are using Hyperliquid. Yeah, so what this says is like actually there are very few number of people that are using Hyperliquid. It just seems like a lot because they did a really good job with like, all that yapping. I mean, in this market, I'm not surprised. I feel like, I mean, paying for Yap is paying for people to use your product as well. Yeah, so like this is the type of mechanism that at worst is fun. It's kind of like you're playing with like a meme coin market, except instead of buying a meme coin because you think that picture of the dog is cute, you're just saying this dog is cute, or you're saying this dog is not cute, right? So imagine if I see a bunch of meme coins and there are a bunch of different dogs, and I create like a deck of cards on Chomp, and I say which dog is cuter, and I can use that to front run my meme coin trading for dogs. That's at best. That's at worst, sorry. At best, you can use this to find hidden beliefs of a crowd on like very important issues. I think for me, I would really like to see Chomp replacing like the national census, because Gen Zs and millennials are not really taking any surveys. They would rather pay for a subscription than answering anything on like YouTube or whatever. They're not answering questions from like people on the street, and they're not going to focus groups. But what they are doing is they're on their phones all the time. They're engaging in different kind of like random funny debates on TikTok or on Reddit, and they are playing a lot of idle games, right? Candy Crush, Two Dots, or like any kind of these games. There's a very sticky user base for Wordle, for example, which Gen Z and Millennial both play. So how can we get into the hands of the people who we really want to know the thoughts of, but in a way that they will respond to? Is kind of this is our solution for it. So we had a pretty long journey coming into here. In the beginning, I just wanted to build something that builds trust in the world, which is like really lofty. Like I didn't know how to do it. My co-founder is an economist. He dropped out of his PhD from Claremont. It's a college in California, because he wanted to just design tokens because he feels like token can enable better externalities in a way that has never been able to unlock before. So we talked about what we wanted to coordinate for. We want to build with this like coordination machine that is the blockchain in a trust minimized way. And the thing that we feel the most passionate about is building for more trust in information. So if you think about today versus like 10 years ago, if you had asked someone on the street, do you trust what you see on the internet? You're going to get a lot of no's today compared to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, right? I hear this like all the time, people reading 5 different newspapers or checking different sites so they can aggregate information and make their own decision on what is right or wrong. We ask ChatGPT, but we don't always know if ChatGPT is telling me the truth, especially for opinionated information. ChatGPT is trying to mirror what you think. It's not really giving you like an aggregate understanding of what might happen or what people might think. So very soon, well, right now we have a lot of technology that are really helpful for producing information, but not a lot of technology that's helpful for validating what is right or wrong or what is likely to be true. And I would argue that every piece of information that is objective today has been subjective at some point over the history of time. So when we put all of that together, what we need is some kind of technology that is crowd validated, that is able to, over a long-term time period, create some kind of standard for what is trustworthy and what is not. And we want that to be started by humans, but gradually replaced by maybe like contributed by human-like agents. So in the future, when I asked ChatGPT for a question about, I don't know, I sent him a screenshot, is this guy into me? Not anymore. I don't need to ask that question anymore. But imagine me. I'll be like, is this guy into me? Or like, I don't know, is Margot Robbie hot or mid? Or who is Margot Robbie, right? At least I know that question will give me. So I want, well,
Here's Margot Robbie in the back to explain.
Yeah, she was in Wolf of Wall Street. Barbie. Yeah. Yeah. So this will not be a situation where we need minority expert opinion because everyone knows who Margot Robbie is. But there will be many other instances where like this type of mechanism and what we're building will be helpful. And what we're trying to do is for the agents and for the humans who are able to validate certain information to be more likely to be true over a period of time, we can assign reputation scores to these identities. And then over time, that identity, oh, it's my husband. Over time, we can assign those identities to humans and also agents. So for agent, this means I am more human-like and I'm able to answer give human-like answers in certain information categories. And for a person, this means I am an expert in certain things like fashion, youth culture, or relationships, whatever it is. And that ability to create more trustworthy information in different information categories becomes the moat that Chomp has. So in the beginning, we need to create this fun and interactive game that people like to play. So like not every information that I put up here about, like buses or like, US history, they're not all going to be really, really valuable. But what we're hoping to do is create a hook for people to come back in, and we sprinkle in information that helps us kind of measure whether they can be more accurate than not in different regards. And then they come back because the more reputation they earn, the more likely they can earn actual money in this ecosystem. And then gradually they become both like hooked because of the financial incentive and also because of the social flex or the badges or the reputation score. And that allows people on the other side who are commissioning information, who are creating information, creating decks, to be able to pull a very large group of users and receive very accurate signal in a very short amount of time. So this becomes valuable for agents, like I talked about, for businesses who are trying to build consumer products that appeal to individuals or people themselves. Maybe they're someone who likes prediction markets, so they open their own market and they bet on it on their own because they believe they have like a winning like strategy over here. Yeah, so game, reputation system, consensus mechanism, and then more trustworthy internet. So that's the thing. I can take questions now, or I can tell you more about my fundraising journey or my journey as a non-technical builder in the ecosystem. Yes.
If we're going to take questions.
Yeah.
So where do the bonk rewards come from?
Yeah. So right now we're kind of using Bonk as a test token before our own token is launched. So we launched a product in June of last year as an experiment. And then around that same time, we applied for a very large grant from Bonk and we were approved. We have a 10 billion Bonk grant, which depends on the market, it's between 100K to 500K. Very large range. depends on the market. So pretty much people in the first iteration, people play for free, but if they want to see the result or potentially earn, they have to burn Bonk. So that was our initial agreement. So we're burning Bonk for Bonk, and we're also redistributing Bonk for Bonk. So like they get this like utility product for an app that has no utility.
Okay, but I guess like long term, I imagine the idea is that people pay to.
Yeah, so they're already. Yeah, so they're doing that now. Well, they were previously paying as well. It's just that their payment is being burned.
But I mean, but is it like the users who pay, or is it
Yes.
people who put up the surveys?
They both pay. So right now it's mostly those who are validating information or betting. Those people are paying. So the people who are putting up the survey up until now, it's all been actually like B2B. So they don't do it directly on the product. And we've actually scaled down our B2B service quite a bit because it isn't like once we have the volume, the B2B will come naturally later. So we proved it, we validated people want this, and then we stopped working with them. Next month, we're going to allow people to commission information, so like open markets directly. So they will pay then. So that will be the second sink or the biggest sink for the token in our future token. Right now, they just pay to bet. And the amount that they can bet currently is set by us. So every single deck has different amounts of credit costs. Previously, it was just bonk cost, so they would burn the bonk. Now we put a kind of intermediary like currency in between called credits inside of the product. So it costs you 0.0005 SOL to purchase one credit. And then the decks can range from 1 credit per question to like 10 credits per question. And then your potential payout right now is 2x, but in our future model, it could potentially be like 50x, but really, really rarely. Yeah.
Is it a purposeful decision to not to make all those bet sizes equal to each other? Like, I can't bet, 100 times more than someone else.
It's not a purposeful decision. It's because we don't want to run out of bonk.
Okay.
That's our current reason because like we're giving away bonk and it's limited amount. So our token in the future will actually be like there will be initial supply, but there's no max supply because we're counting on the fact that we have enough sinks for the token to be kind of regulated and deflationary. So with this intermediary like credit that we have in between, if we pretend that the SOL that people bought and the bonk that we emitted are both in our own token, the token is already deflationary. We've launched this credit system for 60 days now, and we've made 64 SOL from people buying to bet.
Yeah, I have a question about like the algorithm.
Yeah.
Basically, you get better insights because it's like more targeted like demographic or it's kind of like preference, right? But like how, like you have a question about like fashion, like
yeah.
Yeah. Do you know who's using the app, or is it more like revealed preference of like?
Yeah, so the ability to right now we don't have the ability to be more targeted with commissioning like information or like revealing markets to certain people. So right now it is for everyone. Our current demographic is actually very wide age wise, like from like kind of high school all the way to some of our power users are in their 40s or 50s. And we have around 50% emerging market. They're spread across Latin America, parts of Africa, and some Southeast Asia, but not a lot. And then the other 50% is mostly North America and Europe. Yeah, and the age range, the more concentrated age range is in the Gen Z and millennial demographic, but we do have one user who's from Cincinnati. He's like a newspaper photographer. His name is Grim Reaper because he like photographs at night when people are like sadly, need to be photographed. Yeah. I don't know. But he's made like 300 questions on his own. Like he made it on a spreadsheet because he wants people to chomp his questions, and then we just put it up.
So basically, like you have a general idea of like who's using it, where.
Yeah.
So you go forward and start being like, all right, this question's for
Yeah, so there will be like a push, right, to people who are looking at the app in the future. Like right now, our app is the most used inside of people's wallets, so we can't do targeting as well, right? Because we don't get all of their like demographic information. But we'll have opt-in demographics very soon, and then we're gonna push out a native app if this fundraising goes well. We'll have money to do that. But in the future, the people who are commissioning information will be able to choose their own targeting. So, and the targeting is not only for demographic. The targeting is based on people's historical contribution on this app. So I am probably going to want to know what people think about shoes if they've answered shoe questions before, or they've answered correctly about shoe-related questions. So that allows our ability to commission to be much more precise than like any survey platform because like they cannot curate as like accurate of a historical input as we can. Mm-hmm. Yes, that is actually the potential application of this. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I can show you. I can, oh. Oh.
You know where the button is? You gotta press it like 2 more times to go to HTML1. Oh.
Thank you.
Am I 2?
1.
Is this working? So this is one of the sponsored examples. Breakpoint last year in Singapore, they paid us like $2,500 to do this. Pretty much we were stationed not only at each of the booths, but we were also helping everyone to decide who won these like debates on stage. Because there was a lot of famous people debating, so like the host can't say who won, but then in the audience you can be like, he won or he's funnier, and you're pretty much like you're resolving these debates live from the audience. Yeah, so that was one example. And then we were also helping, there were like about 10 brands that were hosting like events IRL, and they would use our product as like either a gatekeep to enter into the event or to like get a merch so they can understand what their users are thinking. So our preferred method of using this product isn't as like, it is advertising in a way, but it's more native advertising and maybe market research. So the reason is because when we first started, there was a huge demand from protocols in Solana to work with us because they saw like the advertising potential, or they saw this need to like understand their users. But when we had a large portion of questions like that in the product, people started to view us as a survey product and not a fun product. But the goal is to get to like a Twitter or a TikTok or a BuzzFeed quiz or a Facebook, where on the flip side we can do advertising and market research, but on the front facing side it has to be a user facing and fun product that people want to use, because that's how we can retain users. Because otherwise you will get you would have to up the rewards in order for people to want to answer, because they see it as work and they don't see it as like fun pastime or like compete with friends or something like that.
What's your most popular
We have a lot of conspiracy theory. Our most, yeah, a lot. So the Grim Reaper, the guy, he like most of his questions are conspiracy theory questions. I can tell you our most popular question is, do penguins have knees?
Wow.
They do, by the way. They have knees. They have knees, but like a lot of people are like, do they have knees? And we did a lot of not safe for work. So remember like Lily Phillips? Or maybe, right? Yeah. Yeah, she slept with like 100 men. So there was like a lot of stuff about that. We made some not safe for work like decks about that. So like those ones were very popular because of the virality it created. Like I got a lot of angry DMs. Like one of my user who's like 19, he's like, I'm trying to quit porn. Like I don't want to be looking at porn related questions on this app. I'm like, oh, sorry. Yeah, so the most popular are the ones that create conversation. So a lot of relationship related things. Surprisingly, not really about sports. Like the things that are really trending on Polymarket, like sports, election of different parts of the world, geopolitics, they don't trend super well on Chomp. Probably because the bet size is really small. So people are looking for more like fun entertainment, or like, oh, I see, I was right. They're not looking to bet like $1 million on this thing, and they're not like seriously studying it in that way. But that's also what will keep them coming back and make these like micro payments. We've tried to talk about serious issues. We've tried to talk about like the UK grooming gang, like very serious stuff. I think a lot of people like they either like they answer, but they would rather not, or they actually like, don't want to look at super serious topics on Chomp. That could change as we scale up reputation score. So in the future, if people do have like an affinity to answer politics or sports, like sports do well not in terms of like competition, but like what's his name, the rapper halftime show. Yeah, like did that suck or not? Like this type of stuff people enjoy, but not so much like the accurate like sports like halftime like 1 versus 0 like not so much those.
Um, how much is like any of it like on chain as far as the responses?
Not currently. We do plan to put 2 pieces of on-chain. Storing all of the results and responses is probably very costly, so maybe not that part. But storing the algorithm, which like you can think of it as a subjective oracle, storing that component of it on-chain, we will be doing. So the reason that we want to do that is because we want programmatic interactions with it. So we have like stat arb traders that want to ask a lot of questions about tokens or like sentiment and like try to front run different trades. We also have the first product that's building on us called Melee Markets. They're launching in June and they're building like a more pump fund like opinion market, but then they're resolving with our mechanism. So they're like kind of pinging our mechanism to resolve their markets.
How do you resolve it? You don't really have like oracles as much.
So Oracle is just different things trying to come to a consensus. So a pricing oracle is pulling prices from all these different places and trying to find the most consensus pricing, right? And then telling other people this is the right price. That's why like AMM can be its own oracle, right? Because it's coming to a consensus about what the price should be based on demand and supply. So what we're doing is we're using everyone's input and turning that into a resolution at that moment in time. So it could change, right? So the difference will be we do not have like we have a resolution at that milestone, but you have the opportunity to debate or reopen, kind of like how UMA does it, right? So for UMA, they can debate, but then UMA is also very gameable. So we've talked to Hart about this, by the way, and so a little bit about like I'll do this later. But anyways, we talked to Hart about it, and he was like, "I've been looking for ways to create new information markets." Hart is the founder of UMA, but the problem with UMA is it's still a majority vote when you're trying to resolve after there's a dispute. So the good thing about our mechanism is it is not a majority vote, so the factor of attack is a lot higher. It's harder for you to manipulate. And another good thing is we can contest it and we can reopen and re-resolve if someone tries to contest it in the future.
Fascinating.
Any more questions?
Do you use prediction markets? Like, are you making any trades?
I do not, and actually most of our users don't. So we've asked them, we've been like, do you know poly market? They're like, no. Is Chomp a prediction market? No. Is Chomp more of a game or a prediction market? They'll be like game. We have seen some power users that win better if they have historically been a part of like Bitcoin casino or like sports betting or prediction markets. They tend to have like better strategy. But most of our users don't really play with those things, and I don't either, mostly because I don't feel that strongly about like politics and like their markets aren't fun for me. But if the markets are about I bet this couple from Love is Blind is not really in love, like I want to bet on that. So that's like the market that like the more lighthearted but a much wider market that we're trying to play into.
We find out when you launch your token.
Yes.
So, get it on it.
Yes, if you guys are KYC'd subscribers of Legion, we are likely to collaborate with them on like a kind of like an ICO thing kind of thing. It's kind of like Echo, but like more regulated, like more legit kind of. Yeah.
So it's gonna need to get KYC.
There is some KYC involved, but it's like I, I don't think it's as strict as like a coin list.
Is there like a mailing list or something? Or
Um, it will be based on your involvement of Chomp. Yeah, so this is Legion. We're likely to work with them. If you guys know Matty Tokenomics, he's like a token designer that's like pretty popular on Twitter. Okay, Matty Tokenomics. This guy. So, anyways, Legion is like a community funding platform that's incubated by Delphi, and then they're kind of the main competitor for Echo. The problem with Echo is kind of like a liquidity silo problem that you were talking about, where every Echo group has like a closed system, and you can only raise with each Echo group, and then as a result, a lot of the Echo rounds are not closing anymore, and it's like very hard, and they each have different rules, which is very confusing. So Legion, they do like one race a week, and then everyone gets to participate. So it's a little bit more like fair. Yeah. Any other question? Do you guys want to know more about my tears and sweat and blood journey of fundraising? Or okay. Andrew is living it. Yeah, I go through like very extreme mood swings on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. Anyway, so like this is my fundraising site. It's actually open. Everyone can look at it. It's just chomp.games.notion.site. So if you want to check it out, feel free to check it out. We have some pretty good stats. This is not updated for some reason because of weird. Well, as you can see, it's different. It should be different over here. It's actually 1.5 million bets. Anyways, we had like total 40K plus all-time users, 1.5 million bets made. Actually, March, we hit our like close to 10K, 9915 MAU, almost double of the users in February. We actually only started pushing for like real user engagement. We haven't done any like Galaxy Quest or whatever, like none of that. It's like actual users. We started focusing on that in December. And then before that, from June to November, we were doing a lot of like B2B, like community, like working with different communities, thinking maybe that's the way to bootstrap users. But then we realized that they either see us as attached to one community or they think it's a survey tool. So we kind of moved away from that. And then in December, we started to focus more on like larger scale, like wallet as distribution platforms, or just using our own content to like drive virality. And yeah, we've sold some stuff, we made some money. Obviously, it's not like a lot of money. So like 60 SOL is not enough to pay anyone's, well, it's enough to pay some people's rent, but not everyone's rent. And yeah, so like all of the things that are over here are the things I've talked to you guys about. So the proof of concept is more about you want to know what other people think, and you're willing to do it probably for like less than $1. If it's like a lot of money, you might not want to do it. And there is a lot of desire to spend a short amount of time to do something fun. There's a much lower desire to spend a large amount of time to do something serious. I think we can all attest to that. And then people have an appetite to bet on things. So like another question I asked is like, I saw another founder ask is raise your hand if you gambled in the last week, and then no one raised their hand, and they say, but buying a meme coin counts. And then everyone raises their hand because like I think we do a lot of betting activities on a daily basis, and we don't realize that it's like betting, but really we're taking a lot of calculated risks every day in our lives. It's just either it's a matter of like kind of making it more palatable in some way. And in reality, it is creating a positive externality because when you have skin in the game, when you put money on the table, you are more likely to take it seriously and be more honest. And that's the type of motivation and behavior we are looking for this product and also for like the externality that we're creating. And then, if you're interested, you can also look at some of our future. We have some mock-ups for how the future product will look like. It will be a lot more social. It will be a lot more like interactive. It will be a lot more fun. There's going to be discussions and groups going on in here. And then we have this like longer term future thing where I told you about, where we see like the agent participant being like a larger and larger and larger group of participants in the future. Yeah, I have a team of, I've put like 3 people on a team. If you're interested, you can go watch me and my co-founder's interview that was just shipped from the Solana, one of the Solana websites, Twitters last week. He's a token math person. I'm a business generalist. We have a CTO who is older than us and wiser than us. He's really early ETH. He graduated from MIT over close to 15 years ago now. And then we have a product lead or engineering manager, like strong front end, strong product mindset, who graduated from Stanford like 10 years ago. And I brought him over from Orca with me. Orca is where I used to work. Orca is a DEX on Solana. I know most of you guys are not on Solana. It is one of the largest and still the largest, one of the largest DEXs. It's the first concentrated liquidity. So it's the first Uni V3 on Solana. And I was their first business hire and I left as their COO at the end of 23. So I've been in the Solana ecosystem since May of 21, so 4 years now. And you will, like, I speak at a lot of these events and then I like to MC things. So I MC'd Breakpoint last year and I'm going to MC Accelerate. So that's coming up in May in New York. And yeah, I didn't know anything about crypto in May of 21. And I think I still don't know anything about crypto. Yeah. And fundraising, we did a friends and family in April, May of last year. And then we did an extension at the end of last year. That's like a little bit higher val than a friends and family because I was validating a lot of these like actually B2B or IRL events hypotheses in Asia. And my co-founder was here trying to raise. It was just like a very bad combination. And then people told me that the market was bad, right? So I was like, okay, let's just do a small extension. But guess what? The market is worse now. It's even harder to raise. Yeah, so I've been raising this time for a month, right, babe? Yeah, a little bit over a month, and fingers crossed tomorrow at 10 a.m. I have my first term sheet. And then they tell me it's gonna be easier, but people always tell me wrong things. So I know. Yeah. Yeah.
We wanted to run our own thing on Chomp with our
Yeah.
questions. How could we do that?
So you should be an early tester of our ask function, which is launching in 3 weeks. We're targeting May 5th for the launch, but we'll probably have like an earlier version of it, like a week or 2 weeks prior, so I can send it to you. And then if you wanted to just like write it on a spreadsheet, kind of like Grim Reaper, I can just send you a spreadsheet and you can just like write a question and we'll just put it up. And then we will like credit you if you want to be credited. Yeah. So we have done that for different people. So we currently are mostly targeting people that can do marketing for us as opposed to us marketing for them, because I'm still trying to drive like top funnel. So yeah. So yeah, feel free to tell me what sponsor price, but I think it's a little bit the system is a bit flawed if you want to target a specific subset of users because we can't do targeting right now. So if you're okay with like everyone, well, that's yeah. Then yes, please do come and use our platform. That's everyone. Yeah. Sounds good. And like one way we're driving our top funnel is like, so for example, we're working with Brave. So Brave has BAT, right? And they want people to like know that BAT still exists, and they want to talk about like attention economy, privacy, and all the things that Brave and BAT wants to talk about. So once a week, we do a deck for them, and we give away like we raffle off like $100 worth of BAT, and then in exchange, they give us like tens of thousands of dollars worth of marketing. So we get like notification ads on Brave, we get like browser new tab takeover on Brave, we get a bunch of shit. So that's how we're trying to spend less money. Oh really?
One of these days I'm gonna get him out.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool. So we mostly talk to like their BAT people. Yeah. But yeah, that would be cool. Thank you. Anything else? Yes. Yeah.
There's no date.
Right. Yeah. So so in reality, this is how my co-founder puts it. I think it's very confusing, but pretty much we can resolve with 3 answers, and we can get to up to 75% similarity for any random sample of 3 answers from our pool right now. So I think what he means by that is like it's not too different if you resolved with 3 answers versus like 100 answers. It's going to be like 75% similar. Right now, we usually do 1 to 2 days. And the reason that we do 1 to 2 days is because we want them to chomp the other decks while they wait. So they can, yeah. So there is a free version you can do, but then you don't get paid anything if you win. There's also like the paid version where you do get paid for something. And then we have a lot of people that empty every day. And if you resolved instantly, there will be less of an urge to empty the rest of it. So we try to drive for the empty, and then you go to like a next tab, and then you click on so over here, there's like the rewards tab, and then one of the mystery boxes will light up, and then you can like claim your reward. So this also opens up once a day, so that you like have this loop of coming back every day. It's more like a retention loop that we're designing. And then I have a 1-day streak. We have a user that's almost at 300-day streak since our first day of MVP, I think. Not you. He started in like when we launched in like middle of June or late June or something. Yeah. He's made like maybe like 50 million bonk, which is not a lot. No. It's
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. A couple $100
for a few minutes every day. Like I would take it.
Yeah, a lot, and also at one point it was a lot more.
Yeah.
And then we do like some raffles. We do some like, so you can earn some credits if you like have enough days of streak or if you complete certain actions. So we also have some viral loops inside of our Telegram community where people like make different things. So a lot of people are like fans of Chomp because of the brand. So we actually have some creators that make like these cute things. Like this is drawn by one of our creators, and the reason that she drew this is because I sometimes walk around in like a mascot costume. You've probably seen me at DEF CON in Bangkok and different places like in my costume. I won't show you the real, you can scroll and find it if you really want to. And then we also have like a plushie. So like we attract a lot of like casual, because like casual users, well, it's very female leaning. So like I'm trying to build a brand that's like female leaning if possible. And then we have a lot of derivative art that's created, but this is created by a dude. His name's Dimitri. But like we also have like a mascot. Like we have a pixel version, we have a 2D version, we have a 3D like plushie version that tries to drive like users to come back, because real consumer products should have like a brand identity that people can respond to, in my opinion. I forgot your original question. Okay.
Slog part?
Huh?
Did you touch on the slog part?
The slog?
The startup slog. You know what I'm saying?
No.
The challenges.
Oh, the challenges? There are so many. There are so many. Going to a fundraising meeting next to my co-founder and being asked if we're dating, and then being asked if I'm the COO or like if he hired me. That's the best. And then like being non-technical is pretty tough, because I don't always know why a bug is happening, right? But I'm always talking to the community, so it creates a lot of frustration in the middle. And then like being the person that's supposed to have all the answers, but really I don't have most of the answers. So I think that's pretty tough. I think working in most environments, you know how to win, you know how to advance, you know how to achieve, because there's a clear ladder or a journey. But building a startup, especially in this environment, and building something like this, is not DeFi, right? I know how to build a DEX. I've built a DEX, but not building a DEX, a launchpad. Yeah, pretty much those two things, which is a lot of things in crypto. Not building those is quite tough. And then trying to build something that doesn't 100x is quite tough in today's environment. And then I think fundraising is pretty challenging, because I don't really like to overpromise. Like I like to like exceed expectation, but then fundraising, like what they say about if you have revenue, you're gonna what do you like the best time to raise is when you don't have a product. It's totally true. Like I think it's very hard for people to see a product and like imagine like what it could be. But then if they see nothing, apparently it's easier for them to imagine. Yes. Yeah.
It's not as much as they.
Yeah. But that's very problematic, right? I've seen a lot of projects that have coasted for years without a working product, and they have so much more money than me. And yeah, I'm like, what? Yeah. 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 Having a working product, like apparently is not, yeah. Not building an L2, that's also, you know, a way to not get funded. That's for later on. That is a way to get funded, but then if you look at the tokens that are like, so there are a few launch pads we can look into, but like, are you thinking like with like an ICO or like a IDO? You won't get as much though, because like most of the launch pads that are doing like token launches now, at least on Solana, the more casual ones, you can get to like a 1 million market cap. And then the bigger ones are not really doing it anymore. Like Jupiter isn't doing their launchpad anymore. So then we could do it with Orca or like one of the other launchpads, but they're like two varying degrees of success. And then you still have the problem of actually, if you want to do a good community launch, the key is to have a good named investor. Like if you are already backed by venture, you know, Yeah,
Yeah.
like they're gonna want to buy much more if you have already been backed by some people, which we have, but they're not like.
That's kind of one I want to start with. Because I mean, a lead investor always draws in other investors anyway.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah.
taking the risk off completely.
Right, right.
Some of it.
Yeah, so for community sales, the same, right? If you're a community product that has zero track record, it will be very hard to fundraise. But recently, there was a good example on Solana. So MetaDAO, I'm guessing you know MetaDAO. So they did a launch for Mountain DAO. So Mountain DAO is like this like co-working, co-locating event that's been going on for the past 3 years on Solana, and they're now turning it into a venture capital like collective, and they raise money for that token. So the token, uh, like people who host the token, decides how Mountain DAO invests their money to different like projects on Solana, and they raised $5 million, 5.7 million from like I think like 2,000-3,000 individual investors. So that was like the most successful raise so far. But the catch of that is 10% of that goes into a liquidity pool for people to trade. 90% of it, the team that raised doesn't get any of it. Every time they want to use the money, they have to put up a proposal. So it's not really theirs. Yeah. It's like very, very, yeah, it's very like governance, maxi. So I also don't really want to do that. Yeah. But yes. Hi.
How do you build a deck?
How do you build a deck?
Yeah.
As in, like, if you wanted to build one, how do you do it?
Yeah,
We don't have it yet, but as I told the gentleman behind you, sorry, I forgot your name, Matt. As I told Matt, we will have so I can send into the group of the crypto flask group when we have that feature launched. So that should be ready in 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, but for now, if you want to create a question, you can DM me and you can tell me the question and I can put it up.
So, like, this one more question is so this, and using your example, like, like having no revenue, not having product is ironically the better deal. But like, so how, like, and you gave an example of that one project you were referring to. How are they able to continue to, nudge along?
Oh, they raise again.
Yeah, how are they continuing to do it without just, not having product and not having revenue?
Yeah.
And, month after month, how do they play that game? I guess is the question.
Mm. I think there's a lot of projects that have token market fit, but not product market fit. So I think this project I'm talking about is one of those examples. I'm not going to name names. They used to be but if you know the market, you might know who I'm talking about. So they used to be an NFT appraisal company, and then about 2 years ago, they switched and turned it into an AI signal sentiment gauging company that apparently uses AI to like front run predict prices. Apparently, but in the past 2 years, they have not done that. And what they have done is a little mini game that's attached to PancakeSwap, where you are kind of like betting with AI, but you're not really betting the price. You're betting if AI can bet the price right. So like it's not really like a testament to how good their algorithm is. And then since then, I think they raised 2 years ago, so they probably need to raise again. And then instead of raising, they're currently paying for like PR. They're trying to launch on a centralized exchange. They're paying for YAP, so like Kaito, like YAP score, so people can YAP for them for their upcoming token launch. And if that all goes well, because like technology, like they have a really polished deck, right? It looks really sleek. There's a lot of jargons in there, so most people won't know what it is. I think if they can play all of that really well, but they also have like named investors. They have named investors like that are like pretty like they sound pretty legit from their previous like when they pivoted before they had this product. So if they play all of this well, they can launch a token and the token can do well and they can coast for another 3 years. Another example would be projects that actually just they are trying to build a product, but then it just hasn't worked yet. So like I will actually say like Safe is Gnosis. Gnosis Safe is a good example. So they just managed their treasury really, really well. And they had ETH really early on, so they have a ton of money now. But they mostly just have the multi-sig, right? They have a layer 2, but like not a lot of people are using that. But they're able to continuously like keep working, and they have a huge team because they manage their treasury really well.
Well, the first one sounds like they just parlayed on the third project, the third iteration of somewhat unrelated things.
Yeah.
It sounded like three, but anyway, it's like, so that wasn't from the beginning. Like it sounds like they got funds. They just been able to parlay it, whether it's good treasury management or whatever, or their own token reserves.
They're two different projects. The second project is good treasury reserve. I think they're trying to do something really ambitious. It's just taking a long time for everyone to understand what they're trying to do. Like for Safe, for Gnosis,
they're in the first one.
Yeah.
I heard 3 iterations of the same team.
Yes. So the
NFT,
mini,
then AI, and then a game. So
the mini game is supposed to prove out their AI algorithm, but it doesn't really. And then you also have like good projects like Orca, the last project I was working with. I think good treasury management allows you to endure a lot of market conditions. So we started taking a tiny fee at Orca a year after FTX. And right now there are like, I think $30 million in the treasury. And you can survive, right? Even if right now Orca is not like the biggest DEX on Solana, I think second biggest, right? It's still able to endure and rebuild and build different things because it has that money in a bank. And that's why like the most profitable business is building DeFi, like building trading products.
Any other questions?
Nope. Cool.
Oh, one more.
Well,
What's up? Oh, was that? Did you want to ask something? Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
John. All right, cool. So let's have a round of applause for Kika.